Lots of the images coming out of Ukraine can be disturbing to adults and especially to children. So here to talk more about how you talk about the situation in Ukraine with our kids, licensed professional counselor Julie Lundy. Julie, thank you so much for joining us for a couple of minutes today.
Thank you for having me, Darcy.
So how do you have this conversation, or do you even have the conversation?
Well, I think it's appropriate to speak to your children in an age-appropriate manner. So if they have questions, answering those questions kind of in line with their age, and being open to what questions they may have, and just really doing the best you can at this point as we try to navigate through all of this.
Is it ever a good idea to just keep it away from them, to just change the channel, to just not talk about it?
Well, absolutely. And again, each situation can be different, and you know your child the best, so kind of gauging that. I do think there's a lot of exposure through social media and other platforms, and sometimes we need to limit that as best we can. And if your children are seeing things and are afraid of some things, I think being honest with them and saying, gosh, I'm afraid too, I'm not really sure what may happen, but that kind of reassuring them that things are going to be okay.
With the very young children, it's difficult for them to understand that Ukraine is not just one state over. So if they get exposed to some of this video and see the schools being bombed, how do you explain to them that this isn't going to happen at your elementary school?
Well, absolutely. I think just what you said, that this is something that is unlikely to happen here, and that just try to soothe and calm them, and not to worry.
When do you know that they're worrying too much? What does that look like?
Well, in some children it can present in behavioral issues. Again, children may ask questions, and so just being aware of your child's behavior. If you're noticing some differences or changes in those behaviors, asking your child about that.
If they're sleeping too much, not eating, crying, what are those telltale signs that, maybe mommy needs to make an appointment with the pediatrician so you'll have someone else to talk to other than me?
Well, exactly what you said. Sleeping too much, you're just noticing some differences. Maybe they're acting out a little bit, and so anything that you may notice that's kind of unusual or over a prolonged period, it might be a good idea to make an appointment with your pediatrician.
Do kids know more than we give them credit for?
I think sometimes they do, Darcy. It's a different time now, and there's a lot more exposure to what's going on nationally and internationally, and so sometimes we do need to monitor what our children see.
And how do you have that conversation when you want to say, I think you've had a little too much exposure to world news today? How do you start that, or do you even have to have the conversation? Can you just say, Mom and Dad think this is enough for today?
Right. I think, like you said, sometimes setting those limits and whatever is effective for your child, to say, we really, let's change the channel, let's do something different. Anything that kind of limits that exposure, I think can certainly be helpful.
Julie Lundy, great advice. Thank you so much for spending a couple of minutes with us today.
Thank you so much.